Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Glory Glory Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Kyle Quinn, and joining me today is Brush. He's back on the show. How's it going, Brush?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm really good. After that result, a really hard-fought win against West Ham at home again, a 1-0 win at Old Trafford against West Ham, just as it was last season, with Rashford also getting the goal in that occasion. Um, Lots of positives, lots of things to talk about, a couple of negatives as well. But I was so impressed with the defending. I think Fred and McTominay coming on for two attacking players kind of put United on the back foot. Ten Hag invited pressure onto us by those substitutions. He clearly didn't believe that United could kill the game off with a second goal. Um, so West Ham had a lot of possession and chances in the last 15 minutes, and it was very stressful from a United point of view. But I mean, Martinez was immense. Dallo the same. David De Gea obviously. I thought Rashford was quite fortunate to get man of the match from Gary Neville. I think he's doing him a favour there to try and get him into the World Cup squad. But yeah, for me, one of the probably De Gea would get man of the match for me. So yeah, so really pleased just to get 3 points in the end. That's all that really matters. So, what was your thoughts on the game then, Brush?
Yeah, absolutely. 3 points were essential. It's a tricky fixture, this one with West Ham, and we certainly made it harder for ourselves than it needed to be. But yeah, hard fought out win. Yeah, I love the togetherness and the harmony that's being built in this team, and you can see how much it matters to them. Yeah, last 10 minutes, as you say, we were holding on for dear life, invited a lot of pressure. We can touch on that with the Fred sub once he came on. And yeah, so we started to fade in the second half as the game went on. Gave up a lot of possession. Um, yeah, De Gea, wow, he was my man of the match today. But I'll tell you what, there could have been three men of the matches, and none of them were Rashford for me. So
Yeah, I was
for
very surprised by that call by Gary Neville.
yeah, because initially I had it down as Dallo, and then as the game went on, De Gea saves, and then Martinez just doing what he does. It's becoming the norm now, isn't it, with Martinez?
Yeah, when he's like one on one with an attacker, you always expect him to win the ball.
Yeah.
Or
And another thing as well, obviously Maguire came back in, and there was a lot of critics for Harry Maguire. I myself, I'm not his biggest fan, but I was pleased for him to come back into the team. He looked all right.
yeah, definitely a solid performance by his very low standards of late. So
Yeah, but the thing is, though, I mean, we really haven't seen much of him of late, have we?
yeah, well, I mean, of late, as in the last year or so, he's been absolutely
Yeah,
terrible.
yeah. But
Uh,
yeah, the thing is, like, until a time where we can address some of these core issues, and some of the core issues I don't think can be addressed until we reach a transfer window or two. So in the meantime, we just have to work with what we have. But then I'll tell you what comes in handy is the size of squad we have, the strength and depth, and that's what was highlighted to me today.
yeah, one of the core issues is the lack of a striker who can get
Yeah.
you know uh, a lethal striker.
Mm.
And Ronaldo, he's done. I'm sorry. Another hatful of chances missed today, and just not the player that he was. So he cannot be relied upon to score goals, and neither can Rashford. I know he scored today, and he scored midweek, but we've seen him miss a hatful of chances as well. He's more of an inside left, who's going to create goals, score the odd goal, but he's never going to be a one chance, one goal man.
Yeah,
Rashford.
absolutely. Rashford's for me, he flourishes out on the left. That is his best position. He's never going to be that prolific guy for us, in front of goal. So yeah, that is something that needs to be addressed. Regarding Ronaldo, I mean, the guy's 37. I don't know what we're expecting. One or two of the chances I heard one of the commentators say, "Oh, Ronaldo 2 years ago buries those." But then, if we look back on his career, even in his absolute prime, there was a lot of chances that Ronaldo missed. I mean, granted, age has caught up with him as well, and he slowed down a bit. But we've got to remember, like, he does miss chances. He's a high volume shooter. He needs a lot of chances. And in this team, with what Ten Hag's building, I don't think he's afforded those opportunities, which is why his numbers have dropped off greatly.
Yeah, and we've seen today he's so desperate to score that he takes a pass a few players and he shoots from 25 yards out
Yeah,
when perhaps he's to pick a teammate out. Yes, he was defending very well from corners and set pieces for the team,
yeah.
um, but when he was on the ball, he was just playing for himself.
Yeah,
Because
I'll
he's
tell you
just
what though. I'll tell you what. The other game against Ammonia, again, there was one or two chances. What there was one chance that, yeah, I thought he absolutely should have buried, which he didn't. But just seeing him up front opposed to Rashi, you saw what a difference it makes just to have a more natural forward up there. Obviously, he's not at the required level at the moment either. But yeah, that's what we're really crying out for.
Yeah, I hope there's a show I'm going to be doing in the next few weeks that I don't have to mention the fact that our next signing has to be a striker. But it's
And I'll tell you what, it's an interesting one because obviously people will have their preferences on what we prioritize. But the main thing for me is that we bring in the right personnel. And I don't know which order that's going to happen in. And I think we need to remain calm with that. So it might just so happen that, it's a midfield option that turns up in Jan. Like it won't be ideal because obviously we're missing those goals and that, but it's about getting the right profile of player. So as long as that's happening, I don't really mind in what order it happens.
yeah, we could end up signing Frimpong from Bayer Leverkusen
Yeah,
as to supplement Dallo at right back, but that'll frustrate fans because we want to see a striker. But it would be a
yeah,
good signing in that position.
yeah. That's what I mean. So we got to start thinking long term. I know also there's been a lot of buzz around the Porto goalkeeper Diogo Costa. He looks to be the future, but then when De Gea is putting in performances like this, he's making a case for himself.
Yeah, just on De Gea, if he's playing like that,
Yeah,
then you can't really justify spending big on a goalkeeper. It doesn't make any sense. And especially if the guy agrees to a wage cut, like you've said,
yeah.
which we're now hearing from the media that could be part of the negotiations. If he comes down in wages and he's playing like this, then you could make the argument that we could keep him for another couple of years.
Absolutely. That's the key thing for me. The wages at the moment, it's doesn't make it viable for a contract extension. But if he's willing to bring that down and then, and we see certain elements added to his game that Ten Hag's looking for, then I don't see a problem in keeping him for a bit longer. And then we can concentrate on other areas.
Yeah, just quickly, the Manchester Cushioner says, I'm saying Bert is late, so he must know that you're can be late at times. um, he also says Dallo was outstanding. He covered for the post crosses extremely well. Yeah, Dallo at the back post. Even Gary Neville mentions it in commentary. Must have been four times where
Yeah.
he won the header at the back post
And
to
listen, how many times have we questioned his defensive ability? And for him to put in a performance like that and be solid at the back, what more could you ask for?
Um, yeah, he was outstanding today. What Ten Hag has done with him is just nothing short of a miracle. I mean, I didn't see this coming at all. In fact,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
brilliant now in both ends of the
Yes,
pitch.
and in the first half, that ball in where he cut it back and sort of Rashi and Ronaldo got in each other's way. That was brilliant as well.
Yeah, yeah, that there was no communication at all there between Rashford and Ronaldo,
No,
unfortunately.
but a lovely ball in by him though. That was a good move. I like that.
Yeah, he's at top of his game at the moment. I even heard another YouTube channel saying, "Is there a better right back in the Premier League at the moment?" That,
I don't want to get carried away with it, but he's doing very well.
yeah,
This is the
um,
problem with us lot. The moment one of our players has 3, 4 games on the bounce, they're the next best thing since sliced bread.
every fan does it, especially Arsenal fans. Yeah. Um. So yeah, what about those worldly saves from De Gea? I think the best one is probably the Kurt Zuma save.
Yeah,
Kurt Zuma thought he had
incredible,
scored. Yeah. I
incredible.
thought it was
That
in.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'll tell
he
you
had.
what. It gave me kind of flashbacks to a save I remember in the FA Cup years ago that David Seaman made um, against Sheffield United.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think Paul Pesky was the striker. I don't know if you remember it, but it was like that. It was just instinctive. It was brilliant. I thought that was going in.
Yeah, I remember that. I think the ball was behind David
Yeah,
Seaman,
yeah,
and he
yeah,
still
well,
managed
yeah.
to dig it out. Yeah,
Yeah, that was crazy. But yeah, no, for him to reach that, yeah, it was brilliant.
yeah,
Um,
that was vintage De Gea today. 10 out
yeah,
of 10.
yeah. I think there was a shot by Antonio late on. I mean, it was pretty straight on, but he still had to make the save. Yeah, no, it was brilliant. He even came out as well on occasion.
Yeah, and Declan Rice nearly curled one in at the end, and he had to
Mm,
tip that around the post too.
hmm
Yeah, there's several big saves in the game by De Gea. But
Martinez, I'm running out of things to say about him. Just bossed it, absolutely bossed it.
yeah, just brilliant as a defender and brilliant on the ball as
Yeah.
well. I mean, in the first half, I was saying he's our most creative player, and he's a freaking centre back. And just his composure on the ball and just
Yeah,
never gives it away. And then
yeah.
when he's one on one defending, he always seems to win the ball or get a block in.
hmm
And then he wins more headers than he loses as well. And for all the hate of him, he's just what an amazing signing. He's worth absolutely every penny of what we paid for him, Ajax. I mean,
Do you know what? I don't think I've taken to a new signing as quickly I have to him.
yeah, and it's not just his performances; it's the passion he has for the club as well. He
That's
plays for
what
the
it
shirt.
is. It's all of it. It's all of it. It's all of that encapsulated in one. When he grabbed the fan at Chelsea in celebration, that things like that is what I like to see.
And we were just saying about well, I was just saying that Dallo is potentially the best right back in the league at the moment. Well, football and fitness United says here Cancelo has entered the conversation. You reckon? Yeah, because he's a outstanding footballer. Not only is Cancelo a brilliant fullback, but as a footballer, he's just unbelievable. The goals and the creative play that he produces from for a fullback, and he can play left back and right back equally as comfortably.
Yeah, just
Um,
very intelligent, isn't he? Yeah, that one upsets me. The fact that we missed out on him.
yeah, he'll never play for United now, unfortunately. We'll just have to let it go. But with every reason to be happy with Dallo and Shaw. I mean, Shaw, another really good performance. I know a moment of the match from Shaw was the nutmeg, where they
Yeah,
had to bring him down. He always does that wee skip, doesn't he, before he crosses it in with his left foot.
yeah.
I
Listen,
noticed that.
he's another player that a lot of people writ off, and he comes in for a lot of criticism, but he's doing really well right now.
Yeah, totally. If Varane was in instead of Maguire, that back four would I'd be so pleased with it. Because
Yeah,
they're all playing, at a very high level at the moment. Yes, Maguire did all right today,
yeah.
but obviously Maguire Varane's a different level to Maguire.
Oh,
So
absolutely. But at the moment, I mean, I'm quite happy with the level of squad depth. Um, but what was wrong with Lindelof today? Because I saw he wasn't even on the bench.
he was ill
He was ill.
apparently.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's hurt.
So yeah.
He's
Listen, there would have been a lot of pressure on Harry. He would have felt it as well. With all of the criticism and stuff coming his way. So yeah, he did as well as he could have.
Yeah, I think he finished the game really well, but at the start, I remember in the first half, he had one of those where he just fucking throws himself in at someone on the halfway line and totally misses the ball and the player, and where it's
Yeah,
badly
yeah.
exposed. But he got away with
Got
it.
away with it. Got away with it.
There was one in the second half where he kind of blocked off Jared Bowen on the edge of the area. I don't think there was too much in it. They just kind of used his body to
Mm.
just fend him off. But I don't think that was a free kick or a penalty. But yeah, and he made a really good, great tackle on the edge of the
I
area
think I
just at
think
the
what
end
was
of the game.
I think what was nice to see as well. I think the other players in that back line understand the adjustments they have to make now, depending on who's in the lineup.
Yeah,
So I thought
definitely.
Martinez and the others did quite well to cover that. So yeah, I'm quite pleased. Um, what did you make of Elanga?
Poor,
Yeah,
totally anonymous. Um, uh, what summed up his performance today, apart from actually not being in the game much, but when he was on the ball, inst- what he needed to do, he was running at the West Ham defence, and what he needed to do was go down the line. Instead, he ran straight into traffic, and we lost the ball again. And that kind of summed him up today for me. Just
yeah.
totally ineffective, and I don't think we've seen quite a lot of him now. Ever since Ranić brought him into the team, and I just don't think he's good enough for Manchester United. If I'm being brutally honest.
Yeah, it's one of those. I mean, depending on if we get any reinforcements coming in Jan, it might be worth loaning him out, I reckon.
Yeah, and I was saying earlier that if we could, if we like Donny van de Beek's not going to get a chance. He's not going to get into that midfield three. There's no way he's going to get in.
Mm.
Um, I know there's going to be rotation at various points, but I just don't see him starting many games. I know the manager's been talking him up, but I just don't really believe that is genuine. I think he'll eventually leave. So what I was suggesting that if we sold Alanga on Van der Beek next year, that would provide us with some cash to sign the number nine. And I think that would be good business if we were able to sell off those players and use the money to get in a player we badly need. Um,
Yeah, most definitely. And obviously, I mean, Ronaldo's contract, I can't see him staying beyond the end of this season. And his wages frees up a lot as well for the transfer kitty.
Yeah. What did you make of Ronaldo blanking Gary Neville now? We've seen him do that to Jimmy Carragher and now Neville. He's starting to remind me of Donald Trump. If you're not with him, you're against him. And if you speak against him on TV, then he will blank you. Um, it's been suggested to me that he's been in private communication with Roy Keane, and Roy Keane's kind of his mouthpiece on Sky Sports. But if you're a pundit that criticizes him, then he'll just ignore you. I mean, it's pretty pathetic,
Ah,
isn't it? It's a bit childish.
listen, it is what it is. I tell you what, I honestly, with that whole thing, I kind of just didn't pay attention to all the media stuff going on because I knew it was going to be a circus, and it pretty much was. But shout out to Eric Ten Hag because I thought he handled the whole thing brilliantly. I think he set out what was expected by way of the discipline and structure that's in place and how everyone should toe the line. But also, he left the door open for Ronaldo to come back and didn't shut him out completely. So I thought he dealt with the situation very well.
Yeah, Ten Hag has handled the situation perfectly, in my opinion. I think there's a right call to leave him out for one game, but
Yeah,
not on a permanent basis.
yeah,
Because needs must. You know, we're short in numbers up front, and we can't afford to let Ronaldo rot in the reserves because. Yeah, and it also doesn't benefit anyone. I mean, if we're paying him 500,000 a week and
yeah,
he's been banished to the reserves, it doesn't benefit him and it doesn't benefit us.
yeah.
Or
And it's a shame, really. It's a shame that he can't sort of adapt with the times because, I think he can be hugely influential to us still, but without being a regular starter.
yeah, he's just a massive egotist. You know that's the
Yeah, like
issue.
listen, like if you look at like Zlatan last season, for example, leading Milan to a title, he wasn't starting every single game, but he still managed to be a leader on and off of that pitch. I mean, when they actually secured the title, I was listening to his team talk in the dressing room, and even I was inspired to put my boots on.
Yeah, Ronaldo is just it's all about him. I'm
But
afraid.
at this stage of his career, this guy he's got nothing to prove. He's an absolute legend. The things he could do is just the things that made him great. Be the first one in training, be the last one to leave, be that guidance to the young players who all look up to you.
The only thing he cares about is his goal records, and if he's not playing games, then he's going to be upset that he can't add to his goal record. He wants to retire with as many goals as possible. That's the only thing that really interests him, and you can see that in games where he beats a couple of players and then shoots from 30 yards out. I mean, instead of just picking out a pass. So he, he's just never going to be a team player for me. Even though yeah, he should do the right thing, like you say, and just like Ryan Giggs and Paul Scholes, just
Yeah,
you
that's the
know,
thing. You make those certain adjustments as you get older, and you can still be very effective. Like I still think there's uses for him. It's just it's just on him really.
yeah. But it's not a good sign that if he's asked to make a 5 minute sub appearance and he refuses and walks down the tunnel and drives home, that's not good for a player of his experience.
Yeah, it's absolutely not. And obviously, he knew exactly what he was doing. Someone of his caliber, his experience.
And what
Um,
he did was took the attention off a really good performance by United that
yeah,
night.
yeah, it was a great performance as well from the lads. And yeah, the thing that I wanted to concentrate on was that it's that unity and harmony that's being built in the squad, and I'm starting to see that now, week in and week out.
Definitely, just look at the celebrations at the end there.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Carl. Do you remember last season after the Newcastle game? when we were discussing how dysfunctional it all looked. It looked like the players physically didn't like each other and didn't get on. And then if you compare that to today, and all of them embracing, high fiving, all of that, it was brilliant.
Yeah, and Ten Hag has to take a lot of credit for that as well.
Absolutely, because these were the same players who were some of which last season we were saying, these two, yeah, they don't get along. They're on opposite ends of the dressing room. But yeah, it was good.
Yeah, all the chat last season was Team Maguire and Team Ronaldo. Well, Ten Hag dropped the both of them, uh,
Yeah.
and we were playing well without them. Obviously, today they've had to come in due to injury and so on. Um, so yeah, I just what the biggest problem is scoring goals. We've only got 17 goals now in 12 Premier League games.
Mm.
That's been the main issue. We're winning games because of clean sheets. As great as that is, because you know that seemed a million miles away. Keeping regular clean
Yeah,
sheets.
listen, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, and I'm just worried that the lack of goal scorer might cost us a spot in the top four, because not only are we seeing a fantastic Arsenal this season, we're
Mm.
seeing an unexpected rise of Newcastle so quickly.
Yeah.
And obviously Tottenham and Chelsea and City will probably win the league. So
Mm.
there's going to be a lot of competition there to get into the top four. On if we look, we dropped points against Newcastle and Chelsea because we didn't have a daily goal scorer.
Mm.
And that I can see that being a theme now throughout the season. Today we scraped home, but we should have put that game to bed and didn't. So that's a slight concern. If we can address that in January, then that would be great. And I agree with you. I don't think we should sign a stopgap.
Yeah.
And I'd rather try and get the number one target in January, but that's probably
Mm.
not going to be possible. So we're probably going to have to struggle on to the end of the season with our current options, unless we do go for a stopgap, which I'm not really in
Mm.
favor of. So yeah, that's the only concern really, is the
Yeah,
the
it's
lack
it's
of
the-
daily
it's the same.
striker.
It's the same for me, Carl. Like if we do go for a stopgap kind of option, also does that then limit what we can do in the summer? Like I'd rather, short-term loss for long-term gain.
Yeah, definitely. I just don't want to waste time and wages on like a stopgap. Another 34-year-old striker coming from the Chinese Super League
Mm.
to play until the end of the season. If we can't get our number one target in January, just leave it until the summer. But
Yeah,
it is.
absolutely. I do. I just hope that during this time they are doing their due diligence and they are scouting around and doing all the things that they should be doing to identify certain targets.
Yeah, and then that benefits everybody, because they can unearth a hidden gem and get him for
Yeah.
a minimal fee, and that benefits the hierarchy if
Oh,
they do.
absolutely. Carl, I remember there was one or two times in the summer, mate, where we were, talking about some of the up and coming talents who we were linked with, like that Enzo Fernandez who was at River Plate, and he's doing wonderfully well at Benfica at the moment.
He, he is, yeah.
And they picked him up for about 10 million.
And Benfica are doing wonderful things at the moment in the
Yeah,
Champions League too.
they've got
Um,
a pretty nifty striker as well by the name of Ramos. He looks decent.
yeah, there's a few. There's obviously there's no Hollands out there, but there's a few up out
Yeah,
there that are a level below that. And that
yeah,
would
yeah.
be obviously Rafael Leo at AC Milan.
Oh,
You've mentioned.
I really like that player at Napoli, whose name I still haven't learned how to pronounce. I'm still calling him Special K.
The Georgian fella you talking about?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, he's
yeah,
brilliant.
yeah. He is, and obviously Benjamin Sesko has been mentioned. I think United are still scouting him.
But he's on his way to Leipzig, isn't he? So we probably have to wait 2 years to do something
Well,
there.
yeah. Well, some people have suggested he's not going to play a game for Leipzig because he's in
Oh,
demand so much.
okay. So they're saying they're just gonna sign him and then sell him on again.
Yeah, well, wouldn't be
Okay.
that surprising. I mean, if all the top clubs in Europe are putting pressure on Leipzig, what's your price? What's your price? They might cave and just
I
sell
mean,
him.
it would be a very, very quick money making scheme for them.
you know. But
I think they picked him up for about 20, 22 million. So they'll probably want minimum double that.
but the thing is, Leipzig and Salzburg, it's almost the same club. It's just they're owned by the same people.
Mm.
So
Coming from Salzburg, though, I do think the Bundesliga is a very good next step. I do like that for players. young
Yeah,
players.
it was good for Holland, definitely.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah. So, what did you make of Casemiro today? Another really good performance. I think not probably not as good as what he was at Stamford Bridge, but
yeah.
yeah, I was really pleased with him today. It's just as not only his tackling ability, winning the ball back, but his passing range. I love the wee pass where it seemed like the obvious pass was to play it out to the right, but he just played like a wee through ball to McTominay, who then led it off to Ronaldo. He had a deflected shot over the bar. It's just that, just a cute wee pass that. Ericsson does that as well, but Casemiro's got that in his locker too. So yeah, so and he's another person who brings passion and commitment to the team and is and plays with a shirt. So
It's a
yeah,
really nice balance, isn't it? Yeah, Casemiro slowly just he's slowly just ticking along nicely now. He's coming into his own. I still don't think we've seen the best of him, which is frightening for the opposition. Ericsson, fantastic performance again. I was pleased with him.
oh, I haven't even mentioned it yet. What about that ball from Ericsson into Rashford?
Yeah, like because the defense did so well, we haven't even moved on to midfield. But yeah, Ericsson, classy, classy, classy.
Yeah, he just he takes a touch and then he composes himself. He takes a wee quick look up and then he plays a delicious ball in and then
Yeah.
wonderful header from Rashford. Now
Oh, brilliant.
Rashford is not associated with scoring headers, but that's two in a
No,
row now.
yeah,
So
the last one was a bullet header as well. The cross from Shaw for the last game.
has he been working on that? Like we just mentioned earlier about
Mm,
Ronaldo being a good influence on players if he wants to. Now there's no better header of the ball in world football, or certainly there hasn't been in the last 15 years than
yeah,
Ronaldo. He could teach Rashford a thing or two about how to score with headers, and
absolutely.
potentially
Oh,
that's been
and
happening.
talking of headers, there was one that fell to him that he was absolutely distraught with. You could tell by the way he fell to the floor that he wasn't happy. It was a beautiful ball into Ronaldo.
Yeah, yeah, I think I remember that. Even the goal he got the other night, Ronaldo,
Mm.
the header was too near the goalkeeper, and then he had to put in the rebound. So even his heading is fucking going down the hill. It's not.
Listen, as long as they hit the back of the net, I'm not fussed.
Yeah, but the problem is Ronaldo's not hitting it back on that very often.
Well, yeah,
What about that left-footed shot he had to just he just kind of sliced into the stands? I mean, why doesn't he?
yeah.
Why is he going for the top near corner? He should be going for the bottom right corner there, across the goalkeeper. And it
Do
could
you
have,
know what? I think that is just on instinct. I think he just goes into autopilot and he forgets how old he is
yeah, uh,
because he's so used to doing that over the years. I think that's instantaneous. That's just the first thing he thinks of. But we have to remember that this is the thing. Like he was always a high percentage shooter. So even in his prime, I saw him missing chances like that.
yeah. But yeah, at Real Madrid, they're creating.
But this is the thing: the amount of chances they were creating allowed him to make those misses, and it was totally fine. He would
Yeah,
still get a brace.
the Real Madrid team he was in would dominate 90% of games and were
Yeah.
creating probably 20-25 chances in a game. So
Hmm.
he needs to be more lethal at United, and he's not going to be at this age, I'm afraid. But yeah, back to Rashford. Yeah, if he's going to add headed goals to his game, that's certainly not a bad thing. Yeah, I'll be really pleased with that as
Yeah,
it stands.
absolutely, absolutely.
The Manchester Kushner says here, do you guys think Donny will play since Bruno is out of the Villa game? Oh, I have my doubts about that. I think Fred will probably come in. What do you think, Rush?
Yeah, I think he's probably likely to go Fred, isn't he? I think he's got a set team now and his starters that he likes. So it's yeah, everyone else has to kind of fight to get in. So I expect Donny to be on the bench for that. But yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, it's worth noting that Fred started against Tottenham. Obviously scored a deflected goal in that game. So when Ericsson wasn't available on that occasion, he went for Fred. So if Fernandez is not available, I can imagine he'll bring Ericsson might switch to number 10 and he'll bring Fred in
Yeah,
alongside Casemiro.
yeah. Oh, and talking of Fred, he was very unlucky today not to score.
Should he have done better there? I mean,
I mean, yeah. Anywhere else, and that's in, isn't it? But yeah, yeah,
because the goalkeeper was rooted to the spot, and there seemed to
yeah.
be a whole half of a net there to aim the
No,
header to,
I
and
would
hit
I
the
would have
post.
loved it though, just because of the McFred connection with the amount of criticism those two
Yeah,
come in for. for them to link up with a goal and assist would have been brilliant.
Yeah, and that would have killed the game off and took the pressure off the
Yeah,
defense.
that is something. Yeah, that definitely could cost us this season because we can't see out games like that.
No, like when we play, I think Fulham and Villa will be difficult games, especially
Mm.
with Villa having the new manager bounce. We'll be under the cosh at various points. So when we had to take our chances when they come,
Yeah, I don't know
Um,
what to make of Villa because obviously the first game under the new manager was brilliant for them, but then they were absolutely destroyed this weekend by Newcastle.
yeah, well, Unai Emery wasn't in charge of the win against
Yeah,
Brentford. They just got the non-Gerrard bounce there, really. Um, I, I, so not a good start for Emery. I hope that bodes well for us because we play them back to back in two different competitions. Um, so yeah, I do think that it'll be difficult enough. Any game we have. See, the problem is why our goal difference is only one is because when we get beat, we get absolutely
we get
just
battered.
yeah,
Yeah,
and when we win, it's by the odd goal.
yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah. So
But yeah, the thing is though to remember is that we're so early into this process that it is going to take time. So I'm not too fussed. I'm not too fussed.
yeah, overall, I'm definitely pleased, but
Yeah,
Uh, I even maybe people accuse me of getting carried away, but if we had like a Van Nistelrooy in the team now, I think would be somewhere near the top of the table because everybody's dropping points. Um, and that's what we're really lacking is we have a settled starting 11 now, but if we had a lethal number 9, who was under the age of 38, we would be, we'd be up there. I think.
if I could have one striker from our past, it would probably be Wayne Rooney. At this moment in time, I
Yeah, I
think.
think you said that the last time you were
Yeah,
on the show.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think a player like Rooney, because he offers so much more than just goals, and he would just really get involved in play.
Yeah, I think Ten Hag would have loved to have Rooney on his side.
Yeah,
At number 9. Obviously, Rooney is so versatile. He can near enough play in nets. He was that versatile.
yeah.
Um, but yeah,
But
he would have
I,
been a lethal number 9 in this
yeah.
team. Yeah,
Yeah, the way the fixtures and stuff are looking. I mean, we've only got 2 games now before the World Cup break. And then we're back Boxing Day, I believe, and then we're on to the new year. So I'll tell you what, I think the January transfer window is going to be key. Last window, Jan, we saw what happened. United and Arsenal didn't add anyone, and we both missed out on top 4. So yeah, again, the way the table's looking, it's there for the taking, isn't it? Really?
we've been told not to expect any signs on January,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm not hopeful. But if Ronaldo goes in January, the club have briefed that they will replace him, so that'll be interesting.
Mm,
So Rashford has got 100 goals now for United.
yep.
Um, Sky brought up the list of the quickest players to score 100 goals, and no surprise you see Dennis Law at the top of the list there with he only took 110 games to score 100 goals,
Madness, absolute madness.
and no surprise that Van Nistelrooy was second. He took 131 games to get 100 goals,
Mm.
and then Bobby Charlton, a midfielder, next 171 games, and then Andy Cole, Rooney, George Best, and then Rashford. So out of all the United players that have scored over 100 goals, Rashford is the 7th quickest to get that total in
He
318
Look
games.
at the company he's with on that
Yeah,
list.
yeah, I'd have any one of those players in our team right now. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think if I'm being honest, I don't think Rashford's on the level of any of those players. But
No, no, but I mean, still, it's a fantastic achievement nonetheless. For a young man he's what 24 now. Yeah, and listen, I was definitely amongst the people who were really confused in the summer as to where we go from here because I thought last season was absolutely atrocious, and it's great what Ten Hag's done for him.
yeah, me included, and quite a lot of others had almost given up on Rashford because
Yeah,
we even questioned his attitude last season. Not really trying coming on in Manchester Derby and walking
mm,
around like him and Jesse Lingard. But he's just totally rejuvenated under Ten Hag. If he's playing on the left, you'll see the best of him.
yeah.
We just can't rely on him to score goals. That's not fair because that's not his game.
Yeah,
He's
that's the thing. And then, we're building a squad, and I'm quite happy for him to be a squad player. To have him as a squad player would be ideal, actually. because to have that kind of
Well,
quality coming off the bench,
we're going to have to sign some serious quality if he's going
yeah,
to be a squad player because Ten
yeah,
Hag called him elite in his post-match interview. So,
okay.
what do you make of that? Is that a wee bit of an exaggeration, or is that
Um,
the coach trying to give him confidence, or what do you think?
Absolutely. I think that's exactly what that is. That's yeah. All the big coaches do that, don't they? I remember Jose in his plump, he used to do that wherever he went. When he was at Inter Milan, Zlatan was the best in the world. When he was at Chelsea, Czech was the best goalkeeper in the world. You know, he's got a thing of propping people up, and it's no different with all the other elite coaches. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, you get that quite a lot. I
mm,
remember Mourinho saying Zlatan's the best player in the world. Klopp has said it about Mo Salah.
yeah,
Yeah, and Rashford being called elite. It's probably, yeah. I mean, Ten Hag's man management has been 10 out of 10, hasn't it? So you just
yeah,
if that's the approach he wants to take, I'm certainly not going to argue with him.
yeah.
Um,
Exactly. For me, it's been brilliant. I think the only one that would disagree is probably Piers Morgan, but who cares what he thinks?
oh, I'm sure he's doing another rant about Ronaldo being unfairly treated today or something on
Ah,
Twitter.
just
Yeah.
yeah. All of that stuff last week, I just couldn't get my head around it. I thought it was absolute nonsense.
Do you know what was nonsense as well? The fuss about Anthony doing that bit of skill
Oh,
the other night.
you know what? I mean, it did make me chuckle when I saw it. I was like, oh, Anthony, after that, I needed you to make that pass. Like, it was the pass afterwards that I was annoyed with. But yeah, I couldn't believe how much of a thing it became, of a talking point. I really didn't think it was that serious. I just thought it was a bit of fun.
Yeah, like if he done that and give the ball away and Sheriff scored from result and
Yeah.
we lost the game, fine. But we won comfortably. Okay, okay, give the ball away afterwards. But for this to be the number one talking point at halftime and full time, and all these people talking about it in Talk Sport and Sky, if this was any other club, that would not be a talking point.
No, it wouldn't. I mean, it's not like he's the first. This is the first time he's done it. He done it at Ajax, and nobody
And
really talked about it.
I like the fact on social media he said he's just going to keep doing it.
Yeah,
Um, So I'm quite happy with that. But next time he does it, he has to find a teammate with his next
yes,
ball.
he's got to make the right pass after doing it. That's the only thing.
You
Literally, when I was watching, I was like, that was the only thing that annoyed me. I was like, you really needed to make that ball after you do something
and
like that.
and all this, like even My United legends complaining about it, like Paul Scholes and Hargreaves, but and Robbie Savage, just piss off, Robbie. Um, but that's what young people who come to Old Trafford. Maybe some people are going to Old Trafford for the first time the other night.
Yeah,
That's what they want to see. They want to see skill like that. That gets people excited. It gets people off their seats. You know, um, you know, young fans like under the age of 20, they want to see
they want to see
skill
something.
like
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
I mean, I'll tell you what. I mean, some people said it was rather pointless, and I mean, yeah, I
I just
sort of tend to agree with it. I'm not gonna lie, but it's one of those. It's a bit of fun. I don't really mind.
yeah, I just couldn't believe how vilified he was being for this. It was just
Yeah,
ridiculous.
but I mean, it was the same earlier in the season with Richarlison. Do you remember? But when he did it for the
Yeah.
PPL
Did
season.
did somebody snap him after he did that?
Yeah, yeah, almost immediately.
And Ronaldo had done it himself in his first spell at United. I remember him doing it
Yeah,
even against Arsenal. I think
listen, I
we were
remember a 16-year-old Wayne Rooney doing it against West Brom.
yeah. I remember against Arsenal. I think it was 2008, and we were 2-1 up going into
Mm,
the closing stages. Ronaldo started doing all these wee fancy flicks and
yeah,
step
yeah,
overs,
yeah.
and Arsenal players were obviously a bit angry. Like, Nani did it in the FA Cup game
Nani did
against
it.
Arsenal.
Yes,
Yeah, he's doing
yeah. They
tippy
got
uppies.
very antsy with Nani. They got very antsy with Nani.
I think Ronaldo did it in was it in a FA Cup game against Middlesbrough as well, where James Morrison flew in on him, and then Rooney grabbed Morrison, by the scruff of the neck. I think Morrison got sent off. So we see this. Okay, it's different. It's not. He wasn't showboating at the end of a game.
Mm.
When we're holding on, he was doing it when at 0-0, and that tend to annoy people. But not me. That's why we signed him. We want to be entertained, and if he's going to do that, then fair enough. Um,
And listen, it's smart marketing in this day and age. He's kind of made that his trademark.
Yeah, Yeah, I'm all for it. As long as he's not doing it when we're 6-3 down to Manchester City and he starts doing
Yeah,
it, that would be embarrassing. But I didn't see the big deal. Like a
yeah,
dead
I
rubber.
honestly do think
It's a
it
dead
was.
rubber of a Europa League game
Mm.
against mediocre opponents at Old Trafford. I just don't get the fuss about it at all, and it really just annoyed me, all this constant coverage of it. Um,
Yeah, same.
if Yeah, I mean, if a Tottenham player did that, there'd be no talk about it at all. If an Everton player did it, it'd be forgotten about. It's just, it's just sometimes when pundits and journalists are talking about Man United, it's just unfair coverage, really, isn't it? It's just negative all the time. Any
It's
wee
it's the
negative they
low
can
it's the
pick up.
low hanging fruit, isn't it? They know that if they talk about us, then it's gonna get aired. It's gonna get
And it's
airtime.
the same with Ronaldo being the story. Like we played
Yeah.
Tottenham off the pitch. It is the most one-sided 2-0 you'll ever see.
Mm.
And yet the story is Ronaldo walking down the tunnel in the 90th
Yeah.
minute.
Yeah.
Just do me a favor. Okay, moving on now. Player ratings. Going to be a lot of high scores here. David De Gea is a 10 for me. Dallo a 9. Maguire, I'll give him a 7. Um, Lissandro an 8. Luke Shaw 7, Casemiro 7, Ericsson a 7, Bruno Fernandez probably not his greatest performance today, if I'm honest, so it'd
Mm.
be a 5 for him. Marcus Rashford definitely a 7, Alanga another 5, very ineffective, and Ronaldo a 5 as well. And the substitutes McTominay and Fred, I'll give them both 6s. Um, and the manager would probably get an 8 out of 10 for me. So, what do you think, Rush?
Yeah, I agree with the vast majority of that. Yeah, Ilanga I thought was very poor, very quiet. I don't know if I'd give Bruno Fernandes the same score as him though. I think I'd put Bruno slightly higher. Um, he made himself very busy. He was getting about. There was only one or two things that really annoyed me. Needless yellow card he picked up. There was a pass towards the end where he
Mm,
gave
mm.
away possession, which I'm really annoyed about. Um, so those were the two things that stood out to me. But before that, I didn't think he was that bad. Um, it was one of those frustrating games for him, but he was trying to get his involved. He was trying to buzz around.
Yeah, that when he give the ball away at the end, that
Yeah,
was ridiculous for a player of his experience.
yeah. Especially in a tight game like that. Fred did it as well, actually, right near the end, with an attempted pass. But you need to do better at that. You need to run into a corner or just hold the ball up until you see some backup running towards you. You don't do that. You don't do that. You don't give the ball away like that in the
Fred is
dying
Fred.
minutes. Mm,
Yeah, so you expected from him, Bruno should know better.
yeah.
He's our de facto captain, really. And
Mm,
when you're holding on and you're under the cosh, you don't want to see your captain, giving the ball away like that so cheaply.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, just going to revise that score on Alanga. I'm going to give him a 4. Actually, I thought he was dreadful, to be honest. Yeah.
So, oh, that's quite funny actually because I was campaigning to give Bruno a 6, but you've just done it the other way. But that works
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
But that works as well.
Yeah, you convinced me to make a change there, but it wasn't the change that
Yeah,
you wanted.
yeah. Yeah, and as you say that as well, I just got flashbacks to that we I don't know if it was a shot or a cross in the first half from Ilanga. It just went wayward of goal. Um,
Yeah, he hasn't scored since February, and it shows.
yeah. Might have to change the chant.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's never going to be at the level required. I don't think. We might get a nice wee fee for him if we sell him, but he's not going to be a world class player for Manchester
Yeah,
United.
no. I mean, at most, I think at United, he's going to be a squad player, isn't he? If he stays, and that's not a bad thing. Like, there's a place for everyone. We need players of all abilities, all roles. So it's one of those. But yeah, ideally, if somebody comes in, then I think if he goes out on loan, it'll be interesting to see how he develops, if at all.
To be honest with you, I'd rather see Garnacho coming on or starting games than
Mm.
Elanga. I know, obviously, West Ham's a massive step up from FC Sheriff.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the thing. I think it might have been a bit too soon for Garnacho. It's probably why the coach is taking his time.
yeah, but even Jadon Sancho, how far
Mm.
down the packing order is he? If
Yeah.
Garnacho was starting against Sheriff and Elanga starting against West Ham, and he
Mm.
doesn't even come on as a substitute, Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't see him making the England squad either for the World Cup. So
No.
yeah,
Gareth Southgate doesn't even like him when he's playing well. So
Yeah, I mean, I mean, even when he was playing well, he barely makes the bench, doesn't he? So yeah, I can't see him going. But yeah, bit of time for just sort of rest and reflect at home, I suppose, for Jaden.
yeah, definitely. Rashford will be on the plane, no doubt about that. And Harry,
Yeah,
I'm sure Southgate was delighted to see Harry Maguire play 90 minutes because
yeah,
he's going to pick him no matter what, and he'll want him to have maximum fitness going into the tournament. So that was a bonus for England, Maguire
mm,
starting that game today, which wouldn't have happened if Lindelof wasn't ill.
yeah,
Lindelof he seems like myself. He picks up a lot of infections and misses a lot of games. Um, yeah, because I said just on Thursday when I was or Friday when I was doing a show that for me, if there's a choice between Lindelof or Maguire to partner Martinez, it's Lindelof all day for me. What would you say?
yeah. I mean, I think if he was fully fit, he would have been the one that played today. But I was happy for Maguire, though. I was happy for him. But I'm happy for the result and for the performance he put in as well. Because I understand his limitations, which is why I don't really go in on him too much. I understand that, for what Ten Hag's trying to build, he may not be ideal to that. But until a time where we can address it in the window, there's nothing else we can do but support him.
An 80 million pound player with limitations.
I mean, the
Uh,
thing is though, with that, that's not on him. That is on the sheer incompetence of those involved in sorting that deal out.
yeah, definitely. He's a player who's probably going to be phased out. I would say.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, he turns 30, I think, in March as well. Um,
yeah,
if there is a realistic chance to sell in Jan, I think we should explore it. But then obviously that means we also need to get in a replacement, and you know how we are with getting replacements in.
yeah. We're not going to do that much business in January.
Yeah, so
Um,
that's the thing. But yeah, no, he's definitely going to get phased out. Him and Varane are the same age. They're both going to be 30 before the season's up. Phil Jones is 31. Or I don't know what Phil's doing, but yeah. So those are things that are definitely going to be addressed in the summer. I think we're probably going to get a younger centre back in.
yeah, even when we're down to two fit senior centre backs, Phil Jones is not available to be on the bench.
Yeah, yeah. Axel's another one. He's 25. Axel. It's time for him to move on.
Definitely, yeah. We need to ship out Jones and two and ZB, and then maybe look at moving Maguire on next
Yeah.
summer as well. And then
And the
bring
buy deal isn't actually official yet. Like there's various clauses. He's
he has to make a certain amount of appearances. I think.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. He's got to play X amount, and they got to qualify for Europe or something as well.
yeah. One of the
But
one of the other. I think.
oh yeah, yeah. And then the obligation kicks in. So yeah, technically, until that happens, I'm just going to assume that he's coming back.
Well, I've been keeping an eye on his appearances. He's played most of the Champions League games, but I think
Yeah,
he's only
but
played like
but
five
in the league,
games in the league.
yeah, yeah,
That's typical Bailly, isn't it?
yeah.
He's probably been injured once or
Yeah,
twice.
I haven't really paid attention to Marseille much. So I need to look into that to see why it is, to see if they're just managing him game wise, if it is the injury concerns.
Yeah, and I've been keeping an eye on Salzburg and seeing who's scoring the goals.
Yeah,
Sesko doesn't score that many goals. I mean, he must obviously be someone who's got an enormous potential, and that's what people are seeing in him.
yeah.
But
I did tell you when we first discussed it. I was like, think early Haaland, but without the goals.
yeah, like he seems to be at the moment a scorer of great goals rather than a great goal scorer.
Yeah,
But obviously there seems to be potential for improvement and
mm,
becoming a more lethal striker. Um, but yeah, is Holland's goal tally at 19 was far superior to
yeah.
what Sesko is producing at the moment now. But he doesn't have to be scoring as many goals as Holland. I don't have that expectation of anyone.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean that guy is just a cyborg, isn't he? Like, yeah, I don't think we should make that comparison to anyone. But I'll tell you what, though, with regards to what we're building, um, I'm seeing a lot of team goals. So
yeah,
I'm wondering if we need a player with that higher caliber of individual ability, or could it just be anyone half decent that comes in and does well?
Somebody that's worth talking about is João Felix. There's
Yes,
a total fallout there with Diego Simeone.
yes.
And I know he scored 2 goals yesterday. He
Mm,
hasn't been starting many games because of the relationship with the manager.
mm.
And it's not, let's be honest, it's not a club that's suited to attacking players because
No,
the
it isn't.
manager is so defensive.
Yeah, because
Um,
I'll tell you what, when I've looked at João Felix in the past, I thought, do you know what, this player, if he was at Man City under Pep, he would be a pleasure to watch. Um, and with similarly to what Ten Hag's building, yeah, that would be an interesting one. Again, I don't think he's very prolific, but with him, it becomes more about the system and how they operate as a three.
yeah. And the goals that he's got against us was very, very impressive.
Yeah.
In the Champions League last season, away in Madrid, and in the pre-season friendly there in July,
Hmm.
magnificent finish. Um, so yeah, if Portuguese for Portuguese, Felix coming in to replace Ronaldo, that would be
Yeah, I
perfect.
mean,
And
my ideal two would be either him or Lautaro Martinez, but
yeah,
I also would like our scouting department to do what it is that they do because obviously for us, our logic, our as much as we think we know, our information is somewhat limited. I would say compared to actual scouts, who should be doing their job all around the globe.
yeah, I believe United are scouting heavily in the South American market, so they
Yeah,
will see.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that would be nice. That would be good. It's about time we started doing that, being proactive. There's a young kid in Brazil, Endrick. I think his name's Endrick. He's only like 16, but he's very hyped about at the moment. I think you can only sign Brazilians when they turn 18. Um, so yeah, it's one of those where if we were smart, we would put in the effort now before somebody else snaps him up.
Yeah, but that's the sort of sign where he probably goes into the under 23s rather than
Oh
the
yeah, yeah.
under.
It's one of those where even when he comes at 18, you might want to send him on loan first.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so it seems if anyone's going to break into the first team from the FA Youth Cup winning side, it will be Garnacho. But I
Yeah.
believe that every single member of the starting 11 for the FA Youth Cup winning team last season, every one of them has at least trained with the first team now.
Mm,
They've either trained with the first team, they've been on the bench, or they've started games. And, that's what you'd expect from Ten Hag, coming from
yeah.
Ajax. He's had a look at all of them now. But it seems as if, Garnacho is the one who's going to get more chances.
Yeah. Listen.
Iqbal as well is probably going to come into the equation at some
Yeah.
point. Yeah, and I know he's
Patience is the key because I think people expected because it's Ten Hag to bring you through straight away, but until he has a settled first 11 and until our proper first team squad is settled,
yeah,
he can't really do that.
yeah, because he's under pressure to win games.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because especially after the start that we had against Brighton and Brentford, he,
Absolutely.
yeah, it was all about getting points on the board. So he even had to be pragmatic to get points on the board.
Yep,
He,
yep. Because there's certain times where we just
hoof it.
sat back and countered and done what the United of old did.
Like De Gea launching the ball into the opposition
Mm.
half. We did not expect to see that under Ten Hag, but it just
Yeah,
shows you how pragmatic that he's had to be. Winning games on the counter against Liverpool and Arsenal and
yeah.
things like that is
But that's the thing. As a manager, you have to make certain sacrifices. You have to adapt to a situation, and it is a points and results based business. So you have to be pragmatic.
But it's good to see in more recent games us playing the Ten Hag way.
Mm.
Possession football, team
Yeah,
goals. And even the move for the goal today was brilliant. Bruno played his part in that too.
yeah. It's
Um,
very good. That stuff. Listen, it's only going to get more fluid as we go along. Um, it is going to take a few more personnel changes, but we can see now where we're headed, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, we have an identity now. We're going in the right direction,
Yep,
and we're a million miles away from the team that we were watching all season. So
definitely. And once we get closer to that, I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of the youth players coming through. And yeah, we would love to see the likes of Iqbal and Savage and a few of the others being given a chance.
yeah, and someone else who might come into the reckoning is Hannibal
Maynard,
Mabry. Hannibal is doing really
Hannibal,
well
he's
at
doing very
Birmingham.
well, isn't he? At Birmingham.
Yeah, and not only is he a great technical player, but he
Mhm.
really puts himself about as well. Gets a lot of
Yeah,
yellow
he's
cards.
quite physical. Yeah, I mean, we got a glimpse of that last season against Liverpool, didn't we? I don't
Yeah,
think Ralph was impressed.
and he was banished for that, which was totally
Yeah, yeah.
baffling to me because that's
Well,
what we all wanted to see.
as a manager, I suppose I can understand because you need your players to keep your head. As a fan, I was loving the passion, especially because that game, it was the rest of that game was a total write off.
Yeah, the other players were pathetic that night, to
Yeah,
be honest. So we loved that. So yeah, if, if we're gonna if a lot of our budget's gonna go on a striker, potentially a goalkeeper, a right back, or another midfielder or centre half,
mm,
um, we probably no. I don't see. Let's just put it this way: I don't see us spending big money on Rice or Bellingham this
yeah,
coming summer. I think the big money will go on the striker potentially, um, or another goalkeeper. So I see an opportunity for Mabry to come into the first team squad
yeah,
and
yeah.
supplement their midfield options.
I'll tell you what though. I think before that we have to contend and get ready for another De Jong saga in Jan.
Oh, don't even.
You just know it's gonna happen. You know it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I think Barcelona are even more desperate to sell now, given that they're out of the
Yeah,
Champions League.
yeah,
Um, so, yeah, I just don't even care about him anymore. I just
yeah.
moved on.
I just know that the papers, as soon as the transfer window opens in Jan, that's what it's gonna be for the whole month.
I don't. I just given up on that now. If it happens, it happens. But I
Yeah.
don't even want to talk about it anymore. Um, um, Lamin says, "Big up, lads." So Real Sociedad on Thursday night now is another early kickoff. Now we have to win by two
By
clear
two
goals.
goals. Yes.
Yeah. Do you think United can do that away from home against Sociedad?
I am not sure. I'm not too fussed though either way. Honestly, because obviously I know if you win the group, you get an easier game. But if you want to win the Europa League, which I want us to do, you have to play the harder teams at some point anyway, right? So yeah, bring on whoever.
Yeah, I think it would be better for the squad to have two free midweeks in February. I think
Mm,
that's what they want. That's what Ten Hag wants.
hmm
But for us as fans, if we get a Champions League looking tie in the round of 32 where
Yeah,
Barcelona are coming to Old Trafford and we're going to the new camp, that brings more excitement to the Europa League. That gets us, you
it
know,
does. It does. A big fixture like that will get you up for it, and then if you beat them as well, then you really start generating that momentum and feel good
yeah,
atmosphere and that mentality to go forward and push on.
because the Europa League, even in the knockout stages, up until the semi-finals, it can be quite flat, and you don't really get that up for it.
Mm.
But if you're playing teams like Barcelona, Juventus, Ajax, Atletico,
Sevilla potentially.
Villa, yeah,
Yeah,
if we're having those kind of ties in the round of 32, everybody's going to be buzzing for that. So
yeah,
that's the upside. I think yeah, overall I prefer the two free midweeks because we have to fit in those Leeds and Palace fixtures
hmm
as well at some point.
yeah.
I think that's what the priority is for the manager. But as a fan, if we finish second in the group and we play Barcelona in the round of 32, so be it. Because I think we'd
Yeah,
beat them. If I'm being honest with you, I
yeah.
think
I honestly don't mind. I mean, yeah, I would rather we prioritize the Premier League game because, as far as I'm concerned, we're qualified in Europa.
yeah, I know. Yeah, it's very strange, isn't it? We're qualified, yet it's seen as a massive game, but that's just
Yeah, but yeah, yeah, I'm actually happy, so I don't mind if I see rotation. That's the game I want to see it in. In the league, we can't let it slip. Every single point counts.
yeah, whatever happens, happens on Thursday night because
And like you said as well, Carl, like I don't think. I mean, I expected Newcastle to do well. I was thinking they might push for a Europa spot, but they are going above and beyond at the moment.
yeah, and it was a great motivational speech by Jack Grealish to help out Omrad. Like he's a cert for all the FPL teams now.
Uh-huh.
Omrad. Just didn't see it coming at all. Didn't see Newcastle's form coming. Eddie
Yeah.
Howe's done a brilliant job there. I mean, when you look at them 1 to 11, it doesn't jump out at you. So he's getting the absolute maximum out of those players.
Yeah, and that's a frightening thing because now with that, come the January transfer window, when you haven't really got a budget as such, and you're free to add whoever to that, it's yeah, could be very frightening.
Yeah, just as well, we have a top class coach now, and we're making great signings
Mm.
because if this was what we saw, under Solskjaer and Ranić,
Yeah,
we'd be left behind by Newcastle. So
yeah, 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 most definitely. And then this is the thing though, because players will look at Newcastle now, see what Eddie Howe's building, and they'll want to come to join that.
yeah, definitely, yeah, it does help them in the transfer market as well.
Yeah.
How they're playing. Yeah, so if he beats Sociedad 2-0 or 3-0, happy days. If he don't, so what? We're going to play Barcelona in the last 16. Bring it on.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm with it. Yeah, obviously it'll be great if we win by the two clear goals. If not, I'm not too fussed to be honest. If there is rotation to be had, I hope it comes in the Europa. I want the first team ready and fit for the league.
I think he'll play a really strong team on Thursday night now. And Bruno will definitely play because he's suspended for the Villa match.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, so it'll be interesting to see, does Ronaldo start? Does Sancho get a chance? Yeah, but yeah, it's a free hit for me. We're through to the next round.
yeah, pretty
Uh,
much.
and if I want to see exciting ties in the Europa League, so if we don't win by 2 goals on Thursday night, I don't really care. Yeah, so things are really positive at the moment. If everyone can please subscribe to the podcast and give us a like on the video and comment your thoughts down below. And I'll see you again then, Brush.
Yeah. See you next time. Take care.
Okay, see you later.